Cannondale has a brand new SuperSix EVO race bike. It's been one of the worst kept secrets in the bike world, so I'm very glad I can now tell you all about how it rides. And stick with me, because Cannondale is claiming that this is faster than the Tarmac SL7, so this isn't the dull update that I was expecting. I'll get into the tech in a bit, but I want to get right into how the new bike rides. Before I do though, here are 5 things that you really need to know about the 2023 Cannondale SuperSix EVO. Number 1. This is claimed to be 12 watts faster at 45 kilometers an hour than the Trickle-Down SLR and 4 watts faster than the specialised Tarmac SL7. Number 2, at 770 grams for the frame, it's the lightest EVO ever, with a complete bike being over 700 grams lighter than EVO 3. Number 3, a new proprietary Delta steerer uses a standard headset. 4, Cannondale says this is 12 watts more efficient at 45 kilometers an hour than EVO 3. Number 5, at launch the range is somewhat concise, and starting at £6,250, that's $5,500, so it's not exactly cheap. It then rises to £12,500 or $15,000 for the flagship Lab 71 bike. Right, riding. Within the first few kilometres of my ride out of Girona and heading out into the hills, my overriding feeling was of familiarity. Before heading out to Spain, I took my own EVO 3 out for a spin to refresh my relationship with how it rides, and the new High Mod 1 feels pretty much indistinguishable. Perhaps it felt a little lighter, my 58cm bike with cages weighed in at 7.25 kilos, while my own EVO weighs in nearer 7.85. The flattish rolling roads getting out of the suburbs gave me a chance to press hard on the pedals and push the power. While seated, I expected the frankly ridiculously skinny seat post to sway side to side. Instead, I found it stayed rock solid, and even when the road surface started to get a little buzzy, the post and saddle combination felt welcomingly compliant, yet impressively stable. Hitting the hills and the low mass of the complete bike and its wheels means this EVO climbs with the best. I can easily see the new EVO being the frame of choice for lightweight climbers in the future. The open twists and turns of the Girona hills are a great proving ground for a bike like the EVO. Its sure-footed handling at speed and the ability to hold a tight line is only enhanced by the faith I have in Conti's GP5000 tyres. The slightly damp, slightly greasy, occasional corner of Spain's roads in February were handled with ease. Cannondale has gone with a 25mm tyre, which is great on the whole for Southern European smooth roads, but like my own EVO 3, I'd be switching these for 28mm for riding duties back in the UK. The biggest descent of the day blended fast, slight turns and open views that encouraged 70 kph plus speeds. These mixed into snaking, twisting switchbacks that the EVO simply swallowed up. It's rare for a bike to feel this planted and stable at high speed in a straight line, yet nimble enough to make mid-corner corrections on the tightest of hairpins. The EVO is so easy to balance on the edge of reckless speed and eagle-eyed accuracy on the challenging roads. The High Mod 1 as a package combined brilliant controllable braking and superb tyre grip to bring everything together in a heady mix of what is simply fast road bike nirvana. I'd like to find out if the R1 bar does have the edge over the Vision and standard stem setup here. That said, I've zero complaints about either the shape or the ride quality of the carbon Trimax bar. So initial ride impressions are brilliant, but I want more testing time on home roads before I commit to an opinion. From the first time this new EVO broke cover underneath riders from EF, I was somewhat underwhelmed. It looks pretty much the same, save a few aero tweaks, which had me thinking the new EVO was more about having a need to put out something new rather than genuinely moving things forward. Now, the EVO 3 wasn't without its niggles. The steering stops were sometimes annoying and the BB30 press fit bottom bracket shells frustrated many riders. So what's changed? Before I get into that, why not subscribe to the channel if you value our independent reviews. The subtle updates start at the front end and it comes with the inclusion of a proprietary fork design, but don't worry, it's better than you think. Cannondale has adopted a triangular shaped steerer tube called the Delta tube. This shape allows for internal routing from the bar stem through the headset, but without the need for a proprietary headset bearing. Instead, it uses standard and slim by modern standards 1/8 to 1.5 inch bearings. The front end can be used with Cannondale's new System Bar R0 one-piece. Now this is what should have been on my test bike. Instead, my test ride came with the Team EF-like standard stem, Cannondale's Conceal 1 and a Carbon Vision Trimax Aero wing bar. The new EVO is compatible with its own bar, a standard bar and stem of any description and FSA's ATR. How's that from a brand that's history is littered with proprietary tech? As mentioned, the bottom bracket has switched to a threaded BSA unit. Make of that what you will, but I'm sure it'll make plenty of mechanics happy. The biggest and most welcome change from my point of view is the seat post and the seat tube, or rather, what they removed from it. If you've ever had either the wire from a Di2 battery fall into the black cavity of a seat tube when packing a bike, or suffered a rain-induced seat post slip that's damaged said Di2 wire, then like me, you'll be thanking Cannondale for moving the battery into a moulded import that exits on the underside of the bottom bracket shaft. The EVO loses the speed release axle standard, which worked well, providing you had the correct axles and took care not to lose the rubber rings that retain the axle in the wheel. The new Syntace standard through axles are lighter than speed release in their 12x142 and 12x100mm guide. Looking almost impossibly thin, the seat post is deeper and more aero-shaped. At just a fraction over 15mm wide, it's nearly half the width of the old D post on Evo 3. And that's all down to not having to accommodate a Di2 battery. So, not a huge amount of crazy changes, but I'm very glad to see some sensible concessions being made to practicality for the end user. At £10,500, the High Mod 1 I rode has the sort of specification you'd expect of a flagship bike, even though this one isn't quite the flagship bike because Cannondale have now launched Lab 71, so there's an even higher standard. SRAM's red axis does the job of shifting and braking whilst Cannondale provides its latest wheel design with the RSL 50. At a claimed 1,520 grams a pair, they're competitively lightweight. My test bike didn't come with the intriguing new System Bar R1 with its lightweight aero design, which has been made in conjunction with auto design house Momo Design. Instead, it's Cannondale's Conceal 1 alloy stem and Vision's Trimax carbon aero bar. Still a fine setup by anyone's standard, and one I'd expect plenty of Evo owners to use. The bike is finished with the Pro logo, Dimension, MAC NDR saddle, and Continental Sublime Grand Prix 5000 tyres, and they're set up tubeless as they should be. The geometry of the Evo is absolutely a case of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's basically exactly the same as that of the 2018 Evo 2 disc that's won plaudits for its handling ever since. The important numbers remained largely unchanged with only small increases to accommodate the growth in tyre clearance up from 30 to 34mm. Larger riders, however, do have less choice with the removal of the 60 and 62cm bikes replaced by a single XL model at 61cm. Overall, the High Mod 1 package blends exceptional on-road comfort and stunning handling. It inspires confidence both uphill and especially down. This is a bike I didn't want to stop riding, and the day since I've come back from testing, I keep wanting to get back on it. The best compliment I can give the new Cannondale SuperSix EVO is that it feels and rides like an Evo. For years, it sat alongside the TCR as the benchmark for a top-class race machine. That's high praise indeed. The big question for me, however, is would I trade up my Evo 3 for the Evo 4? Truthfully, not yet. I'm still loving my bike and I can happily live with BB30, steering bump stops, funny dropouts and not quite as much tyre clearance. Though, if I was coming in fresh, looking for one of the very best lightweight race bikes to date, then the 2023 SuperSix EVO would be on the shortest of shortlists. But does this bike excite you? The SuperSix is always a popular bike, so I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you love this new SuperSix, then hit the like button, subscribe, that's so you don't miss our other videos, and if you want more, then try this video.